I did, and now you broke it. There's no pill for a broken heart.
Oh, well, you'll get over it.
You know, actually, next week I go to the heart doctor, so we'll see if my heart's broken or not.
Oh, okay.
So, real answers to real questions. Yeah, I know the new Planbook bar thing is new to us. I'm still getting used to it also. What we talked about is what I want you putting in that little space is the batch of homework it will be collected with. So in the due space of your plan book, you're going to write 5, 2, 1, 2, 3. That batch of homeworks, those 3 assignments, will be collected together. On Friday, tomorrow, the white worksheets that you had earlier in the week, the 511 and 512, because yesterday start slide, and I can show you if you need to. Please don't bump this. You're okay, but this will change shift. You don't know if you open what color, so don't bump it. These go together. There's only 2. It's awkward. This was already due. I told you guys on Monday, get it in as soon as possible, but I'm putting grades in Wednesday. I put grades in this morning. So I didn't, last night it got too late and I didn't put grades in last night. But I put grades in this morning. It's not in math yet, but it's in my book. It's going in today. Sorry, I have the grades. I'm passing back those papers today. If you didn't turn it in yet, if you get it in today, you might sneak it in before I put it in math. But the 3-4 follow-up is in math now. So math grades are starting to get updated, stuff's starting to show up. The end of chapter 4 practice work.
May I interrupt quickly? When you come to class today, and I said, have your assignment ready when you come to class, that does not mean that you walk into class, and then I say, get your assignment out, let's start the activity, and then you go, why do I have to print mine out? What could you have done this morning? Print it out. Do not walk into the classroom without your assignment printed out, if you did it on a Google Doc and you're putting it in your journal. Okay? Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Hudson.
And do not now ask me to go to the bathroom. We'll try to get through the lesson quickly. I will try to give you a couple minutes.
Read your lips.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt. I'm sorry. And then, do we have to have it in hand?
Yes. That's what it means, have it ready.
Oh, I thought we just turned it in.
What? Yeah.
Well, you have to have it physical copy ready. You don't have to walk in with it in your hand. Are you okay? Did you know that you're just asking a silly question when you ask that question?
No.
About do I actually have to be holding it when I walk in the room? Okay, moving on. I feel like I might as well take this before you forget. Yeah, this is the next batch. What's due tomorrow? Sorry, this is what's going in your plan book. Sorry, Molly, I just called on you that I interrupted you. If you want to know what's due tomorrow, sorry, that probably was confusing.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Tomorrow, what you're turning in.
Tomorrow, I love you.
Mr. Hudson, your singing was beautiful.
My falsetto is a little rusty, I will say.
Baby.
Oh, never mind. I didn't call it the follow-up because I realized that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I realized when I went to put it into math, and I typed chapter 3, 4, and I was going to abbreviate it FU, and I was like, oh, I can't use that abbreviation.
Do it.
Sorry, Molly, your
I
question.
completely forgot.
Dang it! I knew that was going to happen. So, hold on. The end of chapter 4 practice work. There's a couple of you I'm going to speak with individually because you got big old highlighter bars in my grade book, meaning you didn't turn in work. But I'm not going to waste everybody's time, including myself, by posting it in math when literally only 5 people in the grade wouldn't have a check. So if you're one of those people, I'm going to meet with you individually, but there will be no more chapter 4 practice grades posted. What I wrote in green there, that P to M, I'm handing that back today in class, hopefully at the end when I give you time to go print if you need to, because you don't want to have the wrath of gold rain down on you.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of class, if you don't get that back, means you didn't turn it in. And when I put it in math, it's going to be missing, which is probably going to happen literally after you walk out of my room because I have a planning period after you guys leave. So if you turn it in during class today, that might be your only chance of sneaking it in under the radar. After that, just get it it in and I'll change your grade. Right? I gotta update math though. Lily. Or you forgot now.
No. So when is 2, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2,
Yeah,
2, and 5, 2, 3? When are those two?
2 days after, like 2 days from 523. Right? So if you, I wish I had one of your guys' plain books. We didn't have extra copies.
So
We will be doing 523 on Monday. So those assignments are due on Wednesday.
When are we getting 522?
Tomorrow.
So
Today is 521.
So we get one today, tomorrow, and Monday.
And actually, all those copies should probably show up this afternoon.
So when are those due? All Wednesday?
521, 522, and 523 will be batched. And I may not collect them Wednesday, but yeah, they should be done by Wednesday. So guys, all you have to remember is 2 days like always. I'm not changing my 2-day policy. I'm just trying to be clear with the batches of homework. And actually, on Tuesday, when you get the next, 524, it will change colors. It will not be blue, which is your mental indicator of, oh, I should turn in all my blues because we're done with blue now. Does that make sense?
So every batch
I'm trying to
is a different color.
Trying to use the colors to help you
So
out.
this week is white. Next week we're going to be like, well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
what's due next week will be blue.
this week and next
Yeah,
week.
what's due this week was white. What's due next week is blue. For you guys, it's different for each class. All right, that's like 6 minutes of clarification. Any more questions about general things? General things.
Thing going to be like less than fun.
So, as many of you know, especially people like Nick who show up for game club at lunch, I'm kind of a game nerd. And a lot of games operate based around a deck of cards. Some operate around a partial deck of cards, like euchre, but most use the entire deck. So, if we're going to have conversations about probability, we should probably all be clear about what's in a deck of cards, because when we're asked, is a game fair or not, well, how are we going to figure that out? We don't know how the game is set up. So if you did not head your notes yet, it's probability games. We are totally switching gears, like from what we've been doing. Now we're diving into probability, which for those of you that have gotten tired of what we were doing, you'll probably be real happy about this. So, like, if your game was we're going to flip a coin, I went on heads, you went on tails, you could probably figure out, is that fair? But if I said we're going to play a game, I win if I draw a composite number, you win if we draw a prime number, that might be a bit more difficult to figure out, because first off, we'd have to know what's prime and composite, and second off, we'd have to know what's in the deck, right? Or if you're rolling a die, like you got to know, and most of us know what's on a die. But what if I say, okay, we're going to roll a die. You win if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Do you want to take that game? I win otherwise.
Yeah.
Do you want to play that game? Yeah? Yeah. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. You win if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Otherwise, I win. Yeah?
It's going to be like some sort of plan.
Okay.
It's
D30.
Oh.
I win.
What?
Because we got 22.
What?
Did I tell you I was rolling a D6?
Oh yeah, right.
I
Because
said I was going to roll a die, right? Not a 6-sided die, not a number cube. This is a die. It's a D30. It has 30 sides. It's used when nerds like me play games where you have to keep track of life. And you use your die to keep track of how many life tokens you have, or like what your life counter is. Dies come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Here's a D20, right? A 20-sided die. Here is a die that involves orthogonal directions. If you want to be a giant nerd in a game and roll a die to figure out which way you go, you got an orthogonal direction die. So guys, like, be careful. Here's a die that's all fractions, and it's an 8-sided die. Tetrahedron, I'm pretty sure is what we call that. So, pick a card, any card, those where we're starting. Because a lot of games involve cards. So before we dive into this, let's talk about what's in a deck of cards. if we were going to start breaking apart a deck of cards, what's the first split we would talk about? Yeah, Bella?
Usually there are 2 cards in the deck.
Yeah, so go ahead and write down deck of cards. We're going to say 52 total. Unless you're playing with jokers for some reason. We're talking about actual cards. That is no jokers, no wilds, no anything extra. Actual cards in the deck. And I think we took the jokers out of this, but if there's jokers in here, yeah, there shouldn't be.
So they're kings, right?
Yeah, there are kings, queens, aces, jacks, 10. So we'll get down to there. If we want to break the deck apart, what's the initial split of the deck? Red and black. Oh, that wasn't obvious or anything. Please draw this out with me. And since red and black is the initial split, how many black cards are there?
26.
Right.
And then if we split up red, what are the two types? What are the 2 types of reds?
Hearts and spades.
Diamonds are forever. Not spades. Who said spades?
No, I didn't.
Of course you did.
No, I didn't.
Hearts and diamonds. You can write it out or you can draw a picture if you want.
So beautiful.
How many of each of those are there? 13. And this is where people start to get confused. There are 13 cards of each suit. Now let's jump over to black and do that split before we keep going down. What's black split up into, Nick?
Spades and that. Clubs.
Whoa.
Spades is kind of hard to draw. It's actually a shovel. A spade is a shovel. Like spade is another name for a shovel. So you have a handle and think of it as a pointed shovel but standing up. And then your clubs are just like 3 circles in a way. And if you want to label this because it's weird to you, like this is spades. Because if you haven't played cards much, you may not know. Spades look weird like a shovel. And the clover is what we call clubs.
Is it actually one of the spades?
Hmm?
Is it the spades actually?
Hmm?
Oh, that's cool.
That or I'm just wrong, but I mean, a spade is a shovel, and it looks like a shovel. So, and there are 13 spades, 13 clubs. And then I will go ahead and write in white. Each suit breaks up into the same set of cards. And those cards are 2, 3, 4. There's no 1. Sorry to say it. There's ace, but actually ace is the highest normally valued card. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to just draw a squiggle up to 10. If you need to write it out, there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. My shoulder hurts. I'm not writing it. Sorry, I'm just being honest. Then Jack, Queen, King, and Ace, making up our 13 total cards in each suit. No joke. In the past, I did not take the time to do this, and when we got to the what's your chance of problems, kids had no idea because they didn't know the setup of a deck of cards. So sorry, I should have said this as we dove into this. This problem that we're about to do is on your blue sheet. So this problem that we're about to look at is on your blue sheet, and that will help you when it comes to your homework. So if you want to jot down that standard deck information, I left you a spot there. It says standard deck information, : If some of this is surprising to you, write it down again. It helps your brain to write things down again. So write down like 13 of each suit, or like, ace, club, or not ace, club, the ace of clubs. You can write down hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs if you need to remember the names of the suits. Take a moment if you need. Jot down those reminders. What's up?
Blackjack.
Yeah, it's a 1 or 11. Yep. By the way, I don't know what we bet, but you guys all owe me since you lost the dice roll.
No.
It was not rigged. You didn't ask. So, now, as I said, as I have said many times this year, I overteach. So later in this unit, you'll need to care about replacement or without replacement, and like other things like that. Right now, when we're talking about the probability of doing something, we're talking about the probability of when I draw a card out of the whole deck, and then before I do the next thing, I will put it back. So that's called with replacement. So if we're talking about what's the probability of drawing a black card, well, how many black cards are there? 26. Out of how many total cards? Or we could actually simplify that and say what fraction of cards are black? 1/2. But I would like you to write the 26 out of 52 to make sure that you think through there are 26 black cards and 52 total cards. All probability fractions or probability ratios are what we want over everything we have. So if we think about probability of a club, 13. Sorry, voices from the side, not even sure who said it. And then if we reduce it, 1/4 of the deck is made up of clubs. So then we talk about expectations based off probability. And this is where the movie Bringing Down the House, or no, the movie 21, or the book Bringing Down the House. Real story, a group of students from MIT went to Vegas like every weekend, or went to casinos, I don't think it was Vegas every weekend, and used math to count cards. And if you want to know about card counting, ask the internet, because I can't go into it right now. To win, to win lots and lots and lots and lots of money. Because they were using probability expectations. So, if we do something 100 times, 100, probably relevant to percentages maybe, how many times would we expect to draw a face card? Which is just king, queen, or jack. Ace is not being counted here. So, let's think. For one draw, what's the probability? Please on your paper write P of face. So we're going to write P of face. Yet each suit has jack, queen, king. And there are how many suits? 4. So the probability of getting a face card on one draw is 12 out of 52. We could probably reduce that. Ooh, 3 out of, wouldn't that be 3 out of 13?
Yeah.
Because if we just think about one suit. Now actually, we could turn that into a decimal or a percent, but here's how expectations work. And you're gonna wanna write this down. I'm gonna write it in white to make it real important. The expected outcome is the probability of that event times the number of tries. So if you guys watch Mark Rober on YouTube, and he went to the carnival and talked about all the carnival games and the probability of winning and how difficult all that stuff is, when you want to say, well, what's my expected outcome if I do this 100 times? Well, like, if it's a game that costs $1 and I win $100, I could play it 100 times before, like, I have to win. So what's the chance that I win in that amount of time? Well, for us, we just said our probability here was 3/13 or 12/52, whatever you want to use. So we're going to do 3/13 or whichever one of those fractions you want to use, times how many times are we doing this here? How many times are we going to draw the card and put it back? 100, right? They said we're going to do this 100 times. We end up with 300 over 13, and somebody needs to use a calculator. Nick, I vote you.
Me?
Yeah, because you got the.
Picture closest and on the test. I wrote get a calculator.
Yeah.
Get a calculator.
This is where sometimes my friends can't believe me, where I will mark a wrong answer correct because everything else was right. You just made a math mistake. 23.07?
Yeah, then.
Wait, really?
I think I did it wrong.
300 divided by 13.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, 23.
Is it? Okay.
23.076923.
So, if we draw 100 times and replace it, we're expecting to win or to get a face card 23 of those times.
23.
Yes, but we can't have a partial time, so we'd have to round. So then, if we're rounding, use the squiggly equals, and that would need to round down. Questions on this? Questions on this?
Smells like popcorn.
I'm not sure why.
Really?
All right, try this on your own. So on your graph paper, I don't think I put this on your blue paper. On your graph paper. So what I would like you to write on your paper, because it will help you when you go to do your homework and everything, is like write out P of not club and then write your answer. Don't write just your answer. Yeah, on your graph paper. I didn't put it on your blue paper because I didn't have space. Now wait, and that's not club. It's not saying not face, it's saying not. Now B is not face. I think you need to look up the Greek carefully. There's not club and then there's not face. Yeah, give me a second. When we think of extra cards, we say we probably get club over here. Red was 1/4. So probably get to 1. It's probably not get. 1 out of every 4 cards are clubs. We're going to talk about this all. You could.
You could just subtract.
Mm-hmm. So we can use, as Meredith was just asking, we can use what we already learned here for a probability of club to help us talking about not club. Or we can use what we found here about probability of a face to use for probability of not a face. So think about it. If 1 out of every 4 cards is a club, how many of those aren't clubs? 3, because our probability was 1/4 for the club, right? It's one of the suits out of 4. It doesn't matter if these cards don't match. We're just talking about the suits of the cards. So if 1 is a club, the probability of not club is 3 out of 4. And this is what we call the complement. Now, essentially what we did was we took 1, the entire deck, and subtracted 1/4 from it. Now, Toby, you were doing a subtraction back there, and you're right there. But if we come to P of not a face, you had done 52 minus 12. Why?
Well, we calculated earlier that there are 12 base cards in the deck, so if we take out those base cards from the total amount of cards that are in the deck, we should get that.
Yeah, so you got 40. But that's not probability. Ooh, 40 out of 52. Because there are 40 not face cards, and there are 52 total, because there were 12 faces. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How we got the 40? We did the whole deck minus the 12, and got our 40. Now, C is an interesting situation. Take a moment. I'm going to read it, and then I want you to think. If we are shuffling the deck, and let's say I'm playing a game up here with Maeve and Meredith, right? And I shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I'm like, all right, in this game, you win if you get an ace, right? So I shuffle. Like, all right, Maeve, you're up. You win. Now Maeve gets to keep that ace. I go on to Meredith.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just wait till I show you my magic trick at the end of class. So I come to Meredith. My question is, what is Meredith's chance? Assuming now I'm not rigging anything. What's Meredith's chance of getting an ace? Write it on your paper. It's okay if it's not correct. Just write what you think. And I'm going to write P of second ace
Oh, we need
for my label. We did not replace that card. Maeve kept it.
This is not question, but it's about cards.
Zach. Before I... What were you trying to say?
3 out of 52. Oh wait, no, 51.
Why? Everybody put your pencil down and listen to Zach. Because guys, it's human nature to not want to admit we're confused, and this is new content. I guarantee there are people sitting in here that are just like, I'm going to keep writing, I'm going to keep looking at my paper and hope he doesn't call on me. And listen to Zach. He gets it. It makes more, it matters more when your peer explains it to you. Zach, why 351st?
Because, there's 4 aces. Because there's 1 ace in each suit. So if you just lost an ace, you also just lost an ace and a card. So then it's 3 out of 51. Which isn't that, the same?
Ooh, it's not the same. So we do 4 minus 1 on the top. Sorry, brain is trying to do too many things. 4 minus 1 ace already got drawn. That's how we get the 3 on top. The bottom is the entire deck minus Maeve just drew out that ace, and there's now 51.
Draw my card. I want to see what I get. Yay, 10. You lost. Good. I have emotional.
Any questions on that one?
Okay.
Toby.
You draw a card, and it is a 5. I get a piece of candy.
Okay. That's if I draw a card.
Oh.
Rob decided to play a game with his friend. He told Travis, just like Toby tried to tell me, that if he picked a black card, if Travis picks a black card with a value of 9 or greater, so 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Right? Ace is higher than 9 technically. Oh, okay. They're not really. They're making aces 1. Sorry, aces have a flip value. Depending on the game, aces change their value, which makes a deck of cards confusing. But here we're not talking about aces as being larger. So jacks, queens, kings, and then the 10, right? And then of course the 9. So 9, 10, jack, queen, king. So you could write this out if you want. So black 9, 10, J, Q, K if you want. So Travis wins on black 9, 10, J, Q, K. Well, okay, so how many cards are there that are black and 9, 10, Jack, Queen, or King? 10. Right? Because we have these in clubs and these in spades. So think about the fact that there are 2 different black suits in here. There are clubs and spades. So while when we list it, there's 5, we have to double that because there's 2 suits of black. So that probability for A, yeah, like on your graph paper.
Oh, come on, guys.
And you could write, like, if you want, you could say black 9 plus. If you want to say black 9 plus, because we're saying 9 or bigger. And that was 10 out of 52. Now B, Rob, if Rob picks a red card with a value less than 9, that does not count 9. Let's think about red cards less than 9. Well, okay, so I'm going to write in red. So yeah, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, yeah, ace is playing as a 1 here, right? There are no 1s like the number 1, but an ace will represent 1 when we need a 1. Morgan? Tell me how. There's 8 of these, right? Then times 2 suits of the red, and that's how Morgan got her 16 out of 52.
This is an unfair game.
So that would be P of red, like 9 minus.
The rest of the cards go to the house.
So if we think back to what makes a game fair, which I didn't really want to define at the beginning of class, what makes something fair? Why, when I brought up that flipping a coin game, why is that fair? And why was the die that I rolled, like y'all got mad at me? Why? Eric?
There's a reason, because you know when you flip a coin, there's always the 50-50 odds that it will either land on heads or tails. But in the case with the die, that you were at an extremely unfair advantage point because you had the opportunity of everything over 4, so that's like trying
6
to
or over.
quick math. 6 or over. So that's
Yeah, but when you guys said yes to the game, you all thought you had the extremely unfair advantage.
so yeah, this
What goes around comes
one
around,
thing
right?
is that it's a good trick to have in life. You always have to try to be as specific as possible, or else someone will be able to try to find loopholes.
Now, if somebody said, we're going to roll a 6-sided die, yeah, I mean, take that deal. Did you have more to add on, Nikki? So I'll come around. You had your hand up. Yeah, do you have more to add on?
Well, yeah, because one, what made you at the advantage is that we didn't know that you were doing
You didn't.
that type of dice.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what makes the coin fair more fair is that you know for a fact that there's no way to switch up a coin.
Yep.
And
You
make
know.
it any more so.
You know what a coin is. Now, what if it was like a coin that had 2 sides heads, though? So you might still want to double check, hey, let me see that coin. Toby?
The thing about it is, what makes it fair is if you have an equal chance of winning.
So, fair. This whole idea of fair. I love exactly how Toby said it. Equal chance of winning. Equal chance of winning. That doesn't mean winning and losing are equal chances. That just means whoever can win has equal chances of winning. So if we come back to Rob and Travis, since Travis's probability is 10/52, And Rob's is 16:50 seconds. Is this game fair? No. Rob has the advantage. And I think most of us are pretty good at recognizing fairness. Check this out. Check this out. Read it. Try it on your own. The city's trying to get some money so we can blow some stuff up.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, let's just be honest. Everyone likes watching stuff blow up.
Yeah.
So 1 out of every 5 people who play get a free entry in a raffle. 2 out of every 15 people win a small cash prize.
How come that one's straight and the other one's dead?
Sometimes it corrects it, sometimes it
To
doesn't.
raise funds for Big Flippers, why are they giving people cash then?
Well, you probably win a little less than. So, anytime things do that, they're paying out less than what they brought in.
Yeah.
So they are still making money. That's how the lottery works. So,
Because so many people buy tickets.
is it more likely that we win a free raffle ticket?
Yeah.
1 out of. So let's compare these fractions. 1 out of 5 for that raffle ticket, right? Versus what?
That's an E.
Oh, no,
VS. Sorry.
Here it is.
2 15ths. If I try to turn this into 15ths, what is it? 3 15ths. Sarah, do you got a question? Or are you just trying to answer it? So which is better, 3 15ths or 2 15ths? The 3 15ths. So, well that makes sense because they'd rather give away raffle tickets than to give away money. Right? What is the probability that you win something else? Or no, something at all. Well, if we want the probability of something at all, what should we do with these probabilities? Put them together, right? So that would be 5 15ths or a third. Now, while you pack up, I would be remiss to pull out a deck of cards without doing this. So, this card.
Can we have your phone?
Cardigan.
You can look at these cards. You can do anything you want. Pick a card.
He has a mirror.
I do not have my eyes are closed. I will walk towards you if you want me.
Nick, full time.
I will stare at you with blinders on. Are you ready, Lily?
You memorized that card. Shuffle it again, Lily.
Yeah, there are 52 of them. I know exactly what cards are in that deck. I memorized all
Do
the
I
cards.
put it back in
No,
there?
you keep it.
Oh, I keep it?
Yeah.
Shuffle the
Take
card
it
back.
He knows exactly which
Give me the
card
deck.
is mine. Here, look and see.
Okay, now here's the thing. You show your classmates.
Oh,
So everyone knows. Show your classmates.
He's looking at the camera.
I am not looking at anything.
Okay. Did everybody see it?
Okay, now, here's the thing. Anywhere.
He's gonna feel it.
So here's the thing about
Behind
nothing
Behind
coming.
him.
What? Behind what? What is Callie? What?
See, behind him.
And that's not your card. And that's not your card. But here's the thing about my classroom. There's magnetic forces actually knock on the deck. Knock on the deck. Put it in there.
I did. Thank you.
You guys aren't as young as other kids.
I wish we had all done the same. Like we had all done.
I need to remember better tricks.